Welcome back. We want to turn now to the fallout from the president's highly anticipated meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping amid rising economic and military tensions with Beijing. There were no breakthroughs, but in a press conference following yesterday's summit, the president said real progress had been made. And according to the White House, the two leaders agreed on steps to stem the flow of fentanyl from China to the U.S. and to reopen military-to-military communication channels.
I believe they're some of the most constructive and productive discussions we've had. I've been meeting with President Xi since both of us were vice president over 10 years ago. Our meetings have always been candid and straightforward. We haven't always agreed, but they've been straightforward. And today, build on the groundwork we laid over the past several months of high-level diplomacy between our teams. We've made some important progress, I believe.
And as we reported at the top of the hour, in a sign of how complicated the United States' relationship with China is, here was the president's response to a question about whether he still considers Xi to be a dictator.
Look, he is. I mean, he's a dictator in the sense that he is the guy who runs a country that is a communist country that's based on a form of government totally different than ours.
I'm joined now by Victor Cha, Senior Vice President for Asia and Korea at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Victor, thanks so much for joining me. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
So, Victor, big picture, do you consider President Biden's meeting with Xi Jinping to be a success? What are the key takeaways for you?
So I would say, Kristen, that it was a success in the sense that the purpose was to reestablish communications. The two leaders had not spoken in a year. And moreover, next year, there's very little chance that they'll be able to meet again because there are elections in Taiwan in January, our elections in November. Xi Jinping is not going to come to the United States 2 years in a row, and President Biden won't have the time to go to Asia. So it was important for them to meet, reestablish contact. It's still a very competitive relationship, but at least there's dialogue to ensure that this competition doesn't escalate into a conflict. So in that sense, you know, it's important but modest progress.
Let's talk about what happened at the end of the news conference there. The president was asked if he considers Xi Jinping to be a dictator. He said, well, he is. You heard his response there. There was some reaction, of course, from the Chinese side. The White House is downplaying this and say, look, big picture, this was a success. This is nothing new. What do you make of it? What should we make of a moment like that? Does it in any way undercut the progress that was made?
I don't think so. What was interesting this time, Kristen, was that he was asked a question and then President Biden paused for a second and then he said yes, which again reinforces the way he frames the relationship. You know, this is democracy versus dictatorship. And again, some of these items that you mentioned that they made progress on, establishing military-to-military communication, stemming the flow of fentanyl precursors from China to the United States, trying to regulate the use of artificial intelligence in the military. These are very important things. And both sides see value in making small progress, again, just establishing working groups on this, but making small progress on them, because they're very important issues for the relationship going forward and indeed for the world going forward.
One of the key concerns, of course, has been the issue of Taiwan. There has been increasing concern among people that I've been talking to that China would, in fact, invade Taiwan. Do you think that this meeting lowered the temperature and lowered the chances that China might take that step?
I think it did. I think the Chinese wanted a more forward-leaning statement from President Biden about opposing the independence of Taiwan. In fact, in their readout of the meeting, they referred to language that President Biden used in Bali a year ago rather than the language he used in the meeting at APEC in San Francisco. The United States is very clear on this. It doesn't support any sort of unilateral change to the status quo in the Taiwan Strait. So President Biden certainly didn't give any ground in terms of the U.S. support for Taiwan, and also certainly didn't give any license to Xi Jinping to think that he could exert any sort of influence or use of force or economic coercion on Taiwan.
And Victor, just finally, what are the benchmarks you will be watching for in this next year? As you say, the president is entering a re-election campaign, so it's not like there's going to be a second meeting that is expected. What will you be watching for?
So on these three items, military to military communication, will all the channels be reopened? The Chinese didn't agree to stop fentanyl precursors to the United States. They agreed to a working group. So how that moves forward, same thing on AI. But also, are the Chinese going to do anything with regard to the war in Gaza or the war in Ukraine, where they arguably have influence both on Iran and Hamas, as well as on the Russians?
All right. Victor Cha, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Great to see you. Really, really appreciate your insights.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.